That's funny. That's hilarious. Isn't it funny that when you're enjoying doing something, 5 minutes is like that, right? But if I said, now you guys got to visit, and I put all that pressure on you, you'd be like, gosh, it's 5 minutes. Isn't that beautiful? You see what I'm saying? Isn't that beautiful? So why can't this be like that? Talking to the Lord instead of like, oh, I got to pray. But why can't like this? You know, like you got to flash the lights, get people to sit down and still, But why can't it can be? That's what's beautiful about it. That just came to me when you guys were sitting down. Beautiful. Anyway, we're going to be in 3 places today. I won't read them all, but the first place we're going to be in is Matthew 14. It's 22nd verse. So Matthew 14, the first gospel of the New Testament, right before Mark. Matthew, the 14th chapter. I'll set it up while you're finding that. 2 weeks ago, we weren't here last week, but 2 weeks ago, Megs told me after church, she said, I was trying to find where you were at, and I never found where you were at. And she said, I thought it was this, but anyway, so I get so excited, sometimes I push through it. But it's Matthew, first gospel, the 14th chapter, the 22nd verse. And I'll set it up while you're finding it. I'll just kind of tell you where this came from. There's an idea that the Lord gave me, and then he just built it off of that for me in my life. We moved into our new house in October, and it seems to me like that since October, whatever that would be, almost a year, it seems like I've been embattled in a lot of ways. It seems like I've had a lot of tribulations and a lot of trials. It seems like that I've been dealing with more anxiousness, not because of the house or anything, but just it's like the season I'm in, and I can't sleep a lot of times, and I'll be up in the night worrying, and it kind of takes over if you let it. And it's been a battle lately. It's been a struggle. I'm not saying we all miss it, we all fall short. Thank goodness for the grace. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we're all broken. We are not broken. We are God's chosen people. We are a royal priesthood. We are the anointed of God. We are accepted in the beloved. Do we feel these things? Absolutely. Jesus felt these things, but he still never lost who he was. He knew he was the Son of God, and he walked in authority and power. He was rejected. He was a man familiar with troubles and trials and tribulations. His best friends turned his back on him, but none of that did he let define him. He didn't set ever down and say, oh gosh, this is so hard. Oh man, these people, he just never did that, but he had to face those things. So I've been facing these things. I've been going through these things, and I felt myself, come on now. He said, my sheep know my voice, and to another they won't hearken. We call it close to God. That's not clear. If you're aligned with God, if you're living, I felt myself being more frustrated, more short with Megs and short with the boys, and I've been battling, and I've been struggling with it. And I haven't been able to sleep, and I was up, I don't know what day it was this week, but I was up early, and I went out on the back deck, and I was just and it's hot out even, but I just wanted to go out there, just be with the Lord. And I had a little fan turned on, and I was sitting out there with the Lord. And this is what the Lord spoke to me. And when the Lord speaks to you, you know it's the Lord, because it brings peace. I feel like if what he's speaking to you doesn't bring peace, it's not him. That's what I believe. So I feel like whenever that we are hard shell, or we believe we have to work for it, and you hear something that says, well, you better do better. That's not the Lord. The Lord never said you better do better. This is what the Lord told me. He said, look at me. That's what he said to me. And I said, whoa. He said, look at me. And he began to unveil it to me. He began to unroll it. And it's way too deep. I'm not even using the tablet today, because I would have kept you at least an hour and a half. Because if I lay it out on the tablet, it gets so deep. So I began to look at this. And what I began to realize in my own life was I began to look at all the challenges. I began to look at all the struggles. I began to look at all the tribulations, and they began to cause how I was feeling and how I was living. But when I look at him in the midst of those challenges, they don't have any power over me. That's what the word says. The word says you'll pick up serpents and you won't be damaged. You'll drink poisons. That doesn't mean run out and drink poisons. That's me. Be aligned with me. Keep your eyes focused on me. And no matter what you go through, hell or high water, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because I go to church. No, because you are with me. So when we look at him, our eyes are focused on him. Lord, this ain't good. This don't feel good. Being up every night at 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning. Some nights I get 2 hours of sleep, but you are good, and I know I'm yours and you're mine, and that's where I'm going with. And if I die from lack of sleep, guess what? Woo-hoo! To be absent in the body is to be present with Christ. Let's go, baby. So look at me, he said to me, and he began to unroll it in the word. And that's what I like. I don't want to just give you a cute sermon title and then just preach experience. I want you to see it in the word of God, because that's what I believe. I believe it's got to be backed up in the word of God, and you're going to see it 3 places. It's beautiful the way he laid it out for me. So here we are. We're in the story of Jesus walking on the water. right? And I'd never seen this before, just these, and there's so much to preach in here, and I'm not going to preach it all, I promise. But anyway, Jesus sent his disciples in the boat. They obeyed, went in the boat, and they started going across. Do you know it was the middle of the night? It said it was the fourth watch. If I looked it up right, that's 3 a.m. Come on now. I was up at 3 a.m., baby, and guess who was there? So they go across, and they're not getting anywhere. They're struggling. But guess who was coming after them? It was Jesus. And it says Jesus came walking to... Come on now, if Jesus did a miraculous walking on the water, wouldn't that affect you? Not if you're not looking at him. You read it here. I'm just going to probably highlight some of it. He came walking to them, and when the disciples saw them walking on the water, they were so distracted by everything besides Jesus, they couldn't recognize him. They couldn't see who they was. They said, it's a ghost. And the word says they were terrified. Come on now, when you get distracted by all these other things and all these other tribulations, you're going to be distracted from who God is, and well, does God really love me? That's the same thing they're doing. Yeah, well, I mean, am I really doing it? See, we focus on us instead of him. And it's not about us, it's about him. It's always been about him. It'll never be about anything else other than him. But when we take it personal, and even myself, when I say, well, you're not much of a preacher, look at you. That does have nothing to do with the price of tea in China. He is good, and I am his, and he is mine, and that's it. That's the end of the story. They were terrified so bad. They were so distracted and so upset and so in turmoil. Anybody been there? That they couldn't recognize the Son of God walking on the water. I mean, like, woohoo, that's a revival. And they were distracted. So see, it's not in the miraculous events, it's in you looking and seeing who he is. And I want you to see how he spoke to them. Because I feel like this is how he spoke to me the other day, and he wants to speak to you today. And every day of your life, if you'll let him. They said it's a ghost, and they cried out for fear. In verse 27, but immediately... Boy, that's tender, isn't it? It doesn't say he waited for them to get it figured out or waited till they got... Immediately, Jesus spoke to them. First thing he said is, be of good cheer. Wait a minute. They're in the midst of fear and terrified. What's the first thing he told them? Well, go back and read it. No, be of good cheer. Be happy. Be glad. Wait a minute. In the midst of my terror? Woo-hoo, yes. In the midst of your tribulation? Yes. In the midst of your doubt? Yes. Be of good cheer. What brings you cheer? It's me. Woohoo! It's me. I'm your buddy. I'm your brother. I know you're terrified. I know you've been rowing and you ain't getting anywhere. But in the midst of that, look at me. Be of good cheer. I'm here, baby. And is he ever going to not be with you?
Yeah, I'll never leave you.
Never leave you. So that means wake at 3 a.m. Who's with me? So where is distance? It's obliterated. It's gone. You may not feel close, but where is he? He's still saying the same thing to you. It's me. I'm right here with you. You just blew up or had a mistake. Where is he? He's right there with you. And he's saying the same thing. Be of good cheer because I'm still with you. But we're taught that if we, now what this says, and look at what he said last in verse 27. Because you're of good cheer, because I'm with you, don't be afraid. Man, that makes that terror start to subside, doesn't it? That makes that anxiety start to subside. We're not saying, oh, I can't believe I was anxious. Wow. No, we're not doing that. We're not self-diagnosing. We're saying, Jesus is with me. He said, be of good cheer. He told me not to be afraid. I'm going to look at him. And now look at Peter in verse 28. Peter didn't have it all figured out. He didn't have perfect faith. He didn't have, And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it is you. See, we're all waiting to get perfect faith to go to the Lord like that. It's not based on our faith. It's based on his faith. He's faithful, the word says. I believe it's Timothy. When we are faithless, he is faithful. So in those mid-morning wake-ups and the anxiousness and the tribulation, it's not, oh gosh, I don't have any faith, God. What am I going to... No, Lord, you are faithful. I am under attack and I'm embattled on every side and I've been acting squirrely, but you are faithful. And I'm going to look at your faithfulness, Lord, and I believe you're calling me. And if it's you, let me come. And now look at Jesus' answer to that. In his not perfect faith, in his not perfect Christianity, in his not perfect walk, look at what Jesus said in response to him just crying out to him. Well, I mean, have you been going to church and have you been reading the Bible and how many verses can you quote? And I mean, how hard have you really been trying, Peter? My Bible said it's one word. And when that word comes from the Lord, it'll empower you to do things you thought you never could do. He spoke one word to Peter. In the midst of the waves, in the midst of the storm, in the midst of the terror, in the midst of the fear, he said, Lord, if it's you, as much as I know, I'm trying to trust you right now. And Lord, if it's you, I don't even know, Lord, but Lord, if it's you, would you let me come? And Jesus spoke one word in the New King James, come. And you know what that did? In the midst of all that, somehow Peter had enough courage and enough strength to get up out of his trembling boat and started to step out on the water in the midst of all this at the word come, and also because the Lord had already told him to be of good cheer. It's me, don't be afraid. Come on, baby. And that's the same invitation God's given you. In whatever situation you're going through, you got trouble in your family, he's saying the same thing to you. Look at me, keep your eyes fixed on me, and come to me and let me restore the love of your life. Let me change how you see everything. And when you see me clear, you look into my fiery eyes of love, you'll do things you didn't even think was possible. It's not like they had been sitting around the boat and saying, you know what'd be cool is if Jesus had have us walk on the water someday. Man, that'd be real. They didn't even consider it. See, there's things in your life you haven't even considered you can do because you're so distracted by everything else besides who God is and who you are in God. And God is crying out to you today, come, but you gotta look at me. Look at me. And if Peter had only looked like, you know, they have those racing horses and they got blinders on them, right? Because if they don't put the blinders on, they'll see everything else. But what they do is they put those blinders on so all the horses can see is right in front of them. And if Peter had had blinders on with just Jesus, they would have been doing the moonwalk across that lake, baby. So he's walking on the water, and he just stepped out on it. I don't know how many steps. One is good enough. I'd be like, wah! He stepped out and he starts walking. And so in verse 29, he said, so he said, come. Man, that's powerful. And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. Amen. Come on now. That's powerful. He walked on the water and going to Jesus. In 30, such a powerful but. So he came out of the boat. He's going to Jesus. He's walking on the water. He's not distracted. He's not looking at anything else other than his brother, other than the Son of God. But verse 30 says, but when he saw the wind was boisterous, when he saw his tribulation, when he saw all the what ifs, when he saw he was afraid. The exact opposite of what Jesus just told him he could be. And that's what the Lord's telling you today is you're so much more than what you're seeing. You're so much more than what you're living even because you've been told that you're less than. But Jesus has come to tell you that you're more than. A conqueror through him that loved you. Jesus has come today to tell you to look at me. Don't ever look at anything else. And if you do look at something else, we're going to get here. Lord, take it easy. Just look at me again. In man's eyes, if I tell you to come and you come and then you start drowning, we're like, forget it. Who's next? But look at there. See, I know the walking on the water is cool, and it is, but I almost think the sinking and then being quickly saved is just as cool.
It's better.
Because no one's saying, you're not walking on the water, you're less than. Well, there are people saying that, but not here. But what I see is I see people sinking all around me. And they're calling back to the boat, and they're calling back for religion, and they're calling back for Bible reading, and they're saying, just pray for me. I'm not going to pray for you. I'm going to tell you to look at Jesus. In the midst of your sinking, you look at Jesus, because I might not be there. I might not give you the right advice. But when you look at Jesus, look at what he'll do for you. So he looked at all those things, and it says that he began to sink. And he cried out, saying, Lord, save me. And so then it says in verse 31, then Jesus crossed his arms and looked down at him and said, Peter, I cannot believe this. Come on now, you're like the number one apostle, and here you are. I mean, come on, I should have chosen. It's not what he said. And it says, and immediately in the midst of his sinking, when he looked at Jesus and was truthful, Lord, save me, immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and grabbed him. There's no better place to be, folks. In the midst of your failure and your tribulations, if you say, man, Jesus grabbed me, I'm going to say, you're good to go. Tell me how it turns out, because I know how it's going to turn out. He grabbed him, he caught him, and in his embrace, in his grab, now there's this loving exchange where he begins to counsel Peter, not argue or downplay him. He's grabbed a hold of him and he's embracing Peter. And even though he just failed, that doesn't scare Jesus off. Not believing that he will grab you when you failed doesn't scare Jesus off. He's grabbed him, he's embraced him, and look what the love he says, oh, you of little faith. Why did you doubt? He's not condemning him. He's saying, look at me. I'm always with you. I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. I was just walking on top of what's discouraged you. And you started sinking, but now I got you. And immediately they got in the boat, and just getting in the boat with Jesus made all that stop. And I want you just to look at Jesus in the midst of what you're going through, no matter what you might face the rest of your life. Just turn and look at Jesus, and we're going to see it. Did you notice that the same waves that were there when Peter started to walk were the same waves that were there when he started to sink? So the tribulation isn't what changed it and caused him to sink. The same wind and the boisterous was the same when he was walking as it was when he was sinking. See, Peter's attention changed, but Jesus' affection never changed.